The Sugar Show has successfully defended his Bantamweight championship for the first time. He avenges the only loss of his professional career over the course of 5 rounds. He puts on a striking clinic against Marlon Cheeto Vera. We're coming off of the best performance of Sean O'Malley's MMA career. Undoubtedly, last night at UFC 299 in Miami, Florida, 20,000 people in the arena, pardon me, sold out crowd, gate setting records for Florida, gate setting records for the UFC outside of a Conor McGregor card. Sean O'Malley is the biggest active star in the UFC right now. He further solidified it last night over the course of 25 minutes, where he put on a clinic in the striking department. He's never looked cleaner, more precise, more technical, more powerful than he did last night. And that's saying he's never looked more powerful in a fight that he didn't even get a knockout in. He just was landing several impactful shots. Marlon Cheeto Vera now has 9 losses in his career and has never been finished, has never even been knocked down. You go watch the replay of last night's fight and tell me what Marlon Cheeto Vera is made of, because he is not human. The knee that Sean O'Malley landed, I forget what round it would have been, the third or fourth round, was unreal. Right to the face of Marlon Vera. Probably broke some sort of bone in there, if I had to imagine. It was brutal, and Marlon Vera just ate it on top of a plethora of other well thrown strikes, well placed, well timed strikes from Sean O'Malley. Landed in a good mixture of body shots as well that I felt made an impact throughout the 25 minutes, mixed in some leg kicks, and put all that together. Those were the ingredients to the first title defense for Sean O'Malley. He is the 135-pound king. And afterwards, he called out Ilia Topuria, the 145-pound champion right now, coming off of a knockout victory against Alexander Volkanovski in February. And do I think that fight would be incredible? Champion versus champion, high-level mixed martial arts? Absolutely. Is that the fight I want to see next? Absolutely not. No, this cannot happen next. Sean, you have people clearly next in line to defend your belt against at bantamweight. And Ilya, you have people to defend your belt against at 145. Should they each get one or two more title defenses and they still remain champions together at the same time, then by all means we can visit a champion versus champion matchup maybe in 2025. But for now, bantamweight is too good and featherweight is too good to not get these divisions moving in the pieces of the puzzle put together. First and foremost, at bantamweight, Merab Dvalishvili. No one has won more fights in a row in this division than Merab. No one has a resume in this division like Merab. He is next. He dismantled Henry Cejudo. Before that, he took out Petr Yan. And all of these names en route to racking up probably the most impressive resume that there is out of all, really maybe just in the UFC currently right now, regardless of division. I don't know if there's a guy that has a resume quite like Merab outside of maybe like Israel Adesanya or Volk, guys that were long-standing champions. And not only is Merab the rightful number one contender, he did it the right way by winning 10 or 11 fights in a row now against progressively better competition, numerous ranked fighters. But there are storylines. Are people forgetting all of the storylines that we could have in a promotional build-up to this fight? Number one, Aljamain Sterling was the previous champion before Sean O'Malley. That is Merab's best friend and training partner. That is the whole reason Merab still has not challenged for a title, because he refused to fight Sterling while he was the champion. So you have that part of Merab wanting to avenge his longtime training partner and friend Aljamain Sterling. As we know, Sean O'Malley knocked out Aljo back in August. So Merab can right the ship for his camp, avenge his good buddy's loss by taking out Sean. That's number one. Number two, which pairs directly in with number one, but I still got to make numerous points. So point two is the Battle of the Jacket, baby. Who wore it better, Sean O'Malley or Merab Dvalishvili? That is the primary story, maybe the best storyline going in mixed martial arts. Who will be the champion? Yeah, that's great and all, but who will get the rightful claim to wear the black and red jacket? And the stylistic matchup in the between those two is super intriguing. You look at this fight with Sean O'Malley, again, pretty much pitched a shutout against Marlon Vera. Outside of round four, Marlon had a pretty decent success in round four, but even in his best round, Sean still won clear out 5 straight rounds. So this version, I should say, of Sean, the best that we've ever seen, pair that with Merab, who is not a striker like Marlon Vera, but is a dangerous grappler who presents an insane pace. Sean proved that he can go 25 minutes with relative ease. He looked very good last night, never really wavered or got tired, kept his precision throughout, kept his timing throughout, kept his power throughout all 5 rounds. If he can bring that same cardio in with Merab and times it by about 10, that makes for a very intriguing fight. Can Sean keep the fight on the feet like he did against Aljamain Sterling? If he can, you saw what he did to Aljo. Now, Merab is much more aggressive and grapples much differently than that of which Sterling did out of his camp. However, at heart, they are both wrestlers, they are both grapplers, and they are going to try to get Sean O'Malley down. Aljo could not. Can Merab learn from Aljo's mistakes in this fight? You've got to do it. If you're the UFC, Sean O'Malley, Merab Dvalishvili, it's a big time fight. Merab has even been doing his part in trying to build his name and garner more recognizability within the more casual side of the mixed martial arts space. Hardcore fans know how good he is, how much of a threat he is, how much of a nightmare matchup that he is for pretty much anyone in this division. But he's making skits and putting them on social media, being funny, interacting with the fans, saying that he's representing Mexico when he was fighting Henry Cejudo. There were more people from Mexico behind Merab than there were Henry going into their fight. He's doing a good job at building his name, and that's what he needs to go into a fight with Sean O'Malley. Is, yes, the resume and the win streak, yes, the storylines with Aljo and trying to avenge it, and number three, you are building a more credible name day by day. If you're Merab Dvalishvili, Sean, biggest star in the sport right now, put them together. It's a pay-per-view main event. And this main event discussion will be paired with the co-main event discussion. So we'll transition from 135 to 155. Dustin the Diamond Poirier rights the ship. Benoit Saint Denis was on a 5-fight finishing streak heading into his bout, the biggest of his career, number 3 ranked Dustin the Diamond Poirier, former interim champion, fought Conor McGregor 3 separate times, fought for the undisputed title 2 different times, has fought nothing but the best fighters in the world at 155 for the last 7 years. Yet Benoit entered this fight as a 2-1 favorite, and to be honest, in round number 1, he was looking the part. Maybe not quite a full 2-1, but he was looking like the guy that could potentially get his hand raised in this fight. He was aggressive. His pace was unbelievable. He would not give Dustin Poirier an inch. He had his back throughout the first and beginning of the second round, threatened with submissions. Dustin was able to fend them off, not get submitted like he had been in his prior bouts like Charles Oliveira and Khabib Nurmagomedov, those championship fights. And Dustin Poirier, forget about a knockout, man. Give this man a guillotine choke. Before he retires, I think it has to be mandatory. Dustin Poirier must get a submission via guillotine. If he does not, he just has to keep fighting, even if he's like 47 years old. But in all seriousness, that was like his lone way of trying to defend takedowns, was to jump the ghillie. It happened at least 3 or 4 times in the 8 minutes, or no, not even, the 7 minutes and 32 seconds that we got. But in round number 2, around the 2-minute end point, Dustin was able to fend off a takedown, separate on the cage, and credit to my buddy Jordan. He said this last night. No one's better with their back against the fence than Dustin Poirier. He can pull off shots with little to no space. The way in which his boxing is in that range, it's so tight and precise and powerful. It is beautiful to watch the boxing skills of Dustin Poirier, especially in close range engagements. And that is what led to him getting the knockout blow, putting Benoit Saint Denis down and following it with a brutal right hand before the referee could jump in and stop the fight. Dustin Poirier is back in the win column. He had a big time moment to defend his spot in the top five, to fend off the new wave, a very similar stature to that of which Justin Gaethje versus Rafael Fiziev. Now, Gaethje didn't do it in as convincing fashion, but the point remains the same. A lot of people complain about how the top five at lightweight is the same guys for the past X amount of years. Well, if you can't beat them, the top five is going to stay the same. And so what do we see still? Justin Gaethje and Dustin Poirier. Charles Oliveira, he's next up, by the way, because he's got to fend off against Arman Tsarukyan. They are all still in the top five, but it's not like they haven't earned their right to stay there because they're getting the victories they need to hold their spot. Now, what can be next for Dustin Poirier, I think, is a fascinating question. Ali Abdelaziz, the manager of Islam Makhachev, and funny enough, of Justin Gaethje, tweeted and said Dustin Poirier versus Islam in the summer for the lightweight championship. Odd he wouldn't want his own guy and Justin Gaethje to fight for the title there with Islam. But that point aside, I don't know if Dustin should be thrown in immediately next for the lightweight title. I think we just need to see what happens with the division. It's not like this fight happened that much sooner than the other two monumental fights, because it's literally in 1 month. We will get Charles Oliveira versus Arman Tsarukyan. Whoever wins that would have a rematch set up with Islam. That's a storyline in itself. You don't even need to root for one guy or the other if you're Islam. Either way, you've got a built-in rematch. And then the other option on the very same night, this is UFC 300, of course, is Max Holloway and Justin Gaethje for the BMF belt. If Justin Gaethje wins, he 100% should be next for the title. And if Max Holloway wins, all of a sudden the former featherweight champion of the world has a rightful claim to get a lightweight title shot. So pump the brakes. We can't go matchmaking immediately right now for Islam Makhachev. We got to wait 1 more month. We see UFC 300 play itself out, and then we can start maneuvering the pieces. But that aside, a massive win for Dustin Poirier at 35 years old to maintain his spot, to keep himself amongst the biggest names and recognizable stars in mixed martial arts right now. The diamond shines bright. He puts away Benoit Saint Denis. Now he gets to just wait and see what could be next. Can he achieve his goal of becoming undisputed champion and getting a guillotine submission before he hangs up the gloves? So let me know in the comments below your thoughts on the main and co-main event from UFC 299. Sean O'Malley pitched a shutout in the main event to defend his title for the first time against Marlon Vera, avenge the only loss of his professional career. And in the co-main event, 5 rounds, we knew we weren't going to need it. Dustin Poirier knocks out Benoit Saint Denis and proves he's still got what it takes to hang with the best of the best at 155 pounds. Give me your thoughts on their performances and what you think should be next in the comments below. If you enjoyed this recap, be sure to drop a like, subscribe to the channel if you are new so you never miss my recaps from the most meaningful fights every single weekend. I also break down fights every week as well. X's and O's, sure, but I pride myself in this community on the storylines heading into every fight. Why is this fight important? How did we get here? And what does it mean moving forward? That's what I love so much about this fight game. And subscribe for MMA news and fight announcements as well. I give all my thoughts and opinions on the biggest stories in the sport. Follow the show on social media at the BAJ MMA and subscribe/follow and give a rating for the podcast on your favorite audio platforms such as Spotify, Apple, and many, many more. Have a great week, and I'll see you in the next one.